All right, here we go. We're live. How's everyone doing? Welcome back. Oh, shit. No, there's an echo. Hang on. Let me fix that. I did not expect this. Here we go. Anyway, we should be good. Let me just let me know in the comments. Everything all right? Can you see me okay? And bam, can you see my screen okay? Let me know how everything is. Guys, I have a huge I just noticed this literally 2 seconds ago. I literally didn't even see this. Telegram, our Telegram channel, our free Telegram channel just hit 20,000 members. So we're at like 116 on this YouTube channel. Roughly 20% of you guys, a little bit less, on the free 4Flies Gold channel. That is absolutely amazing. It's the first link in the description down below. If you want more analysis directly from myself and my team for free, bam, right there on screen. First link on screen. We're going to send you those updates straight to your phone. You're never going to miss them. It's super practical. Everyone loves Telegram. If you're a trader and you don't have Telegram, it's like, I don't know, being a driver and not having a seatbelt. It's ridiculous. So go ahead and check it out. And yeah, let's get straight into this video. So this video, I want to cover with you something very big about Bitcoin potentially reaching crazy price levels like 200k and actually more like 3, maybe even 400k in the long term. You guys know my perspective. I'm super bullish in the long term for Bitcoin, but short term bearish. So before I start talking about that, the analysis that I'm going to cover with you here, in my opinion, is not good. And so I'm going to outline it to you, and then I'm going to tell you why I don't think it's good. And this is more of a case study to tell you, to show you what dangerous analysis looks like, because you're gonna come across a lot of it, you're gonna produce a lot of it, and you're gonna see a lot of it, and you must be able to distinguish what's shit from what's bad, from what's good. And I have no shade to throw to this guy that made this chart, right? Everyone's been a bad analyst at times, and it's just part of the process. But for you guys to protect yourselves, I want to do this, and I fully welcome as many other people to critique my analysis in the same way, because that's only going to improve me. Very, very important. Before we get to that though, let's first look at the short-term chart. So I've adjusted my rising wedge a little bit now to show Bitcoin pretty much having a fake out to the upside and 2 fake outs to the downside, and now just broadly speaking trending in this rising wedge pattern. Now we know how rising wedge patterns move for these kind of markets. It's the same thing I'm going to be saying to you guys again right here, which is that we will typically, I mean, so common, we will typically be forming downward price action, move upwards slowly, and that would usually be the continuation of the trend lower once this slow upward trend hits resistance. So put it this way, if there is a resistance line right here, and actually it supports, so the market kind of falls down to this level, bounces up a little bit, falls down, and then we kind of slowly start, let's actually draw this line a little bit, let's say we fall quite a bit lower, and then we're slowly kind of trending upwards. We're almost always going to continue slowly trending upwards until bam, we hit that ceiling, and that's when a decision can be made and we start dropping back down again. This is so obvious, and if we take a look at how it's been playing out in the market recently, you can see exactly the same thing happening. You guys knew that 53k was my key area of resistance for Bitcoin on this chart, but I was looking at Bitcoin establishing and hitting some resistance as early as 51k, which is this orange line right here. So as soon as Bitcoin with this rising wedge pattern started to trade into this hot zone right here, and actually I should have drawn it with a box, it would be a little bit more clear, but as soon as Bitcoin started to trade between that 53 and 51k level, and I'll show it to you even more clearly on this chart right here because I have less drawings, that's when Bitcoin started to get a little bit of a drop. And we can trace this back just so I can show you how I arrived at 53 and 51 as resistance. And guys, don't worry, I'm going to get to the very spicy, exciting stuff in just a bit, but this is very important to cover first, and that's why I'm going through it. And then I'll start talking to you guys about how I think, we could be going to 200k and stuff like that. Guys, just as we're coming in here, these live streams continuously perform badly on this YouTube channel. The videos have been doing amazingly. I don't know what it is with live streams. I want to do more of them, but I'm not aren't going to if they don't reach as many viewers as normal. So please do me a favor and smash up those likes, subscribe if you haven't done so already, just show the video a little bit of engagement, drop some comments in the live chat, give me your questions that you have about the market, just so we can get this video pumped out to as many people as possible. And then obviously, you know, if this is having the same reach as normal videos, I'll do live streams all the time because I prefer live streams. You guys love how I go in depth on these things, how I don't leave any stones unturned. I'm very thorough, very precise with what I do, and live streams allow me to go even deeper. So that's I enjoy this more, you enjoy this more. I want to do them, but it doesn't make sense to do them in terms of just efficiency if, you know, half the viewers are going to watch it. So please do me that favor and show this video, this live stream, a little bit of love. Every time you hit up the likes, just watch the view counter goes up. It's amazing watching the algorithm work in real time. And you hit the likes, like 5 minutes later, views go up. It's crazy. So check it out. Anyway, resistance right here between 51 and actually 54. And we know that it's resistance because previously on the way up, we were struggling a little bit. We had a reversal right here, had a few, you know, big moments right here, a little bit of resistance, bam, right here, resistance here, support. So look, I don't need to make this case to you, but anyway, it's very clear that as soon as Bitcoin lost this level, yeah, it could potentially be turning into resistance again. And that's kind of exactly what happened with this rising wedge. And now again, we're in the same kind of pattern. So the question now arises, where is resistance on this chart? Is resistance going to be all the way back up here? Because you never really form a rising wedge that looks like this, where you drop down, you form a rising wedge, you drop down again, and then the rising wedge goes up to the same level. That's quite rare. That actually would put you in more of a diamond reversal pattern. But I mean, yeah, that would be quite unusual to see something like that. And so, you know, it falls into like, where is the support? Because if we look at this chart, we can see that I've already got kind of like 49.5 outlined as a resistance level as well. But if we look at some of the other core, you know, normal indicators that I'm using, just the Ichimoku cloud, the EMA ribbon, and so on, we're in resistance right now. If you look at the EMA ribbon on, the Ichimoku cloud on the 4-hour, what am I talking about? The 4-hour Ichimoku cloud, you'll see that there's a little bit of resistance right here. Now, it's not a lot and it's not actually very thick, so Bitcoin can definitely break through it. But the problem is, if Bitcoin breaks through this resistance, it's going to face the real resistance, which is at 53. And obviously, on the daily time frame, if we look at the EMA ribbon, that's exactly where we're going to find resistance from our daily momentum. So momentum is bearish on the daily time frame as well, pretty much as of, yeah, maybe the 2nd of December, maybe even a little bit earlier, just a few days prior. We really started to see these crossovers where the short-term momentum indicators were crossing below the long-term ones, basically showing us that the short-term trend is flipping to be more bearish. And the more these indicators, the more these lines flip, and I think all of them have flipped now, basically it's telling us the more the trend has shifted into a now downward direction. And so every time we kind of hit this indicator, we can expect to find a little bit of resistance. And if you don't know what I'm talking about yet, then it's probably because you haven't watched my EMA 4 flies video. So go ahead and type this into the YouTube search bar right now. I don't care if it's a live stream. Pause the live stream right now and watch this video, because you're missing out on amazing free content, which should not be free. And it's actually part of my paid stuff anyway. So if you think that what I'm talking about is good for the free stuff, wait till you see the paid stuff. And this is an example. So please pause the video now and watch this and then come back. Anyway, back to the topic of the video. A little bit of resistance right here, and so it would be you know, potentially problematic for Bitcoin on the 4-hour time frame. Again, I mean, we've got resistance already from the EMA ribbon. It stretches all the way up to about 50,500, 50,400. You've already got Ichimoku resistance. It's not looking good. There is resistance from these indicators, which I think is very, very important. And I'm just not sure how long this bounce can last for, guys. You know, one of the things I want you to keep in mind right now is that it's pretty clear where the volume came in, and yeah, we did have a little bit of, you know, reaction volume right here, but if you just look at the moving average of the volume right here, this orange line kind of representing to you the average of where it just averages out the previous 20 volume bars. It's showing us pretty clearly that it's been trending downwards, and if I increase this to make it a little bit more of a smooth line, you can still see that we've just very much been trending lower. I'm curious if I can get a smoother curve. No, that's not really helpful, is it? That just basically shows us leveling out. So maybe 20 is the right reading. Let's see 10. I mean, 10 makes it even more extreme, just showing us, you know, very, very clearly where the market was very interested. It was basically at the moment of the dump and directly afterwards. That's always what happens. People are always the most excited, the most fearful, the most greedy directly after a big move, and then it kind of dies off. And when it dies off, that's where it starts to become potentially a little bit concerning again. And you know, we actually saw the volume intensifying just a little bit again if I make this moving average even more sensitive to perhaps the past 5 bars, you can start to see that actually it picks up right here as the dump reinitiates, and it picks up again on the next big rejection candle. This is a really big deal. That I want you guys to be aware of right now, is that this volume is showing us that the market is consistently on from larger perspectives, right? If we look at the big dump right here, what am I talking about? This big dump right here, from larger perspectives, volume spikes pretty quickly. But even with the smaller dumps, right, the big rejection that happened right here, we're still getting a pretty sizable increase in volume. The reason I'm showing this stuff to you is to just make it very clear that even though we're trending up, we're still showing the same signs of weakness that we had back here, that we had in this whole trend, and that we had even when we got rejected. We're still showing that right now. This is pretty obvious. I mean, it's not like the market really changed over this past little while. And actually, as the market continues to trend up, you're going to start to see, guess what? Our best friend, the Fear and Greed Index, showing you that people are getting a little bit more comfortable. Now, this hasn't happened yet because it hasn't updated. We need another 4 hours for this to update, because a lot of this move to the upside actually happened today. So we need to wait another 4 hours for this to update. But we were in extreme fear, and I would expect this to perhaps still be in extreme fear, but a lot higher up. People just generally feeling a little bit better about the price action. From a technical perspective, and I thought about this deeply, right? My stop loss, you guys know I'm in a profitable short position inside of VIP right now, which is absolutely amazing. Made some nice profits. Stop loss is at break even, and I've considered, do I move my stop loss up? Is Bitcoin going to potentially rise up? But the issue that I see here is that I just don't see it passing resistance, given how much weakness it's had in this trend. I'm seeing resistance right here at about 49.5. Bam, we found resistance right here. Bam, we found support. So I know that this is a resistance level. I think it would be difficult for Bitcoin to overcome this level because of that. There's 4-hour EMA resistance that stretches all the way up to about 50.3. I don't really see Bitcoin penetrating too deep into this EMA ribbon. Look at the last time we interacted. Let me take a cleaner chart. This is a little bit confusing. The last time Bitcoin interacted with this level, we just couldn't penetrate the EMA ribbon completely. Only went about halfway in. So, if we did that again, that might indicate that we top out again at the very same trend line that I had drawn right here at 59.5. So that's something to keep in mind. And then again, like the Ichimoku cloud, also showing us the same things, basically that it's got resistance stretching all the way up to 51.5 and starting at about 49. So again, some very important things that I want you guys to keep in mind is that there is resistance right here, and I just don't think that it's strong enough to overcome it. What does that mean? Well, I think, like I said, this is another rising wedge. It's probably going to end up dropping that. I would expect this to be a smaller rising wedge. I don't know how much longer this can go on for. It is a Sunday here in Dubai at the time of me giving you this live stream. I don't think I think that the chance of a dump is a little bit higher on the Monday, but at the same time, if this goes on for another 24 hours, that would make it a pretty long rising wedge. So that's where things can start getting upset a little bit. The things that I want you to keep in mind is that as we kind of continue to we're not necessarily showing weakness with this rising wedge pattern. I mean, this is generally, the bulls having a chance to buy Bitcoin so that they buy it high and then they sell it low again. But if we do kind of keep pushing the upside, obviously we're going to be squashing that resistance a little bit. So I want you guys to keep that in mind. Sunday might be a little bit of an opportunity for Bitcoin, but Monday, again, I mean, I just can't expect it to be bullish. I really can't. And that could potentially spell some disaster for Bitcoin to drop a little bit lower in the short term. Again, this is all me talking about, my short-term analysis, because my short-term analysis is different to my long-term analysis, and obviously having something a little bit larger than a peanut brain, I am able to understand that the short-term trend can differ from the long-term trend. God forbid we exercise a little bit of sound judgment on this YouTube channel and actually take our heads out of our fucking asses, and apply some common sense. The short-term trend can be different to the long-term trend. This isn't Fourth Life switching his bias every day. Bias has been the same for a very long time. And I would be expecting to potentially hit support. Now, the good news is we climbed above that 47k support pretty well. I didn't expect that to happen. But because we did that, maybe a little bit of support again. I don't know how much this area can be support. It's not really the biggest support area ever, so I don't expect it to be a huge area of support for this trend right now. But putting it on your radar nonetheless. And if we fail that, you already know my thoughts. I'm looking at 44. I'm looking at 42. If you missed that then go back to the previous video on my YouTube channel. I don't want to repeat it too much, but you already know the deal. Just go to my YouTube channel and you will, oh, here's my live stream, nice. And you will see exactly what I'm talking about, where I was outlining these very same kind of support levels around 44k that Bitcoin could find in these highly dramatic YouTube videos. You guys know the game. I've got to do it. It's just part of being a YouTuber. Anyway, let's just take a quick look at all this stuff. I see a few comments right here. Thank you all very much for dropping your questions. I will go through that in just a little bit. If you guys are enjoying the live stream so far, again, please do me a favor and smash up the likes, subscribe, tick the bell, do all that good stuff. As you guys are showing engagement on these videos, views are going up. And like I said, I want to fix this issue on this channel where live streams just perform terribly. I don't know why it's the case, but they're significantly worse than videos. And I like making videos more than I like making, I like making live streams more than I like making videos. And I know you guys like that too. So by showing a little bit of engagement, we can blast these live streams out a little bit more, and it will make more sense for me to do them. Because you're like, if you were here back when Bitcoin was trending up to 60k, you'll know that I was doing them like every day, and it was going pretty well. But obviously, I had to stop just because it didn't make sense to continue. Anyway, that's what I'm seeing for Bitcoin, potentially finding a little bit of support from 44 down to 42. But let's get to the exciting stuff now. Let's talk about Bitcoin. Before I go through your questions, let's talk about Bitcoin potentially blasting off towards $200,000. And the whole idea here, if I take on a different chart where I don't have any drawings, let's use this one right now. Let's use this chart right here. The whole idea here is that Bitcoin has consistently, what is wrong with my voice? Hang on. Bitcoin has, nope, voice is not working. All right, here we go. Better, slightly. Bitcoin has consistently, within its bull runs, formed a big leg up, and then a second leg up where it faked out, and then it had a big blow off top. And the whole idea behind this theory, and I'm just gonna expand it a little bit, is that, you know, when Bitcoin goes really crazy like this, it needs to have a what's called blow off top, where well, I mean, this is a blow off top. It's where you rise up really, really quickly and you immediately crash down, and it's just a disaster. You crash down as quickly as you went up, and I mean, you can say that we had that here, but I don't really think that's the case. And the reason I don't think we had a blow off top, pardon me, right here, is because the price was kind of fluctuating and stabilizing around the 50k 60k level. To me, that is not what it's not, to me, like just textbook. That's not what a blow off top is. A blow off top, and if we look at this on the daily time frame, it's a little bit more clear. You know, a blow off top is where, you know, the same day you reach the all-time high is the same day that you initiate the crash, and that's just not what happened. And so I don't think that we had a blow off top right there. And I think that's really important because, you know, when we have extremely extreme price action like this, there's only one way that these kind of cycles end that I've seen and that I can imagine, and it's with a blow off top. And if we didn't get a blow off top yet, then we probably haven't finished the bull run, in my opinion, because that's what signifies that we've gotten too crazy. That is my webcam lagging, guys? Can you just let me know in the comments? It looks like it's lagging a little bit. If it is, I'll just swap it out. Just let me know in the comments if my webcam is lagging out. Hopefully it's all okay. I'm just gonna monitor the comments for a second. But yeah, that is very important because it kind of tells me that this might have a lot more steam left. And you guys know that that's why I'm bullish, right? I just don't think that we've been you know, trending upwards for long enough. Okay, it is bad. All right, let me just give me a second. I'm gonna take like literally 20 seconds and I'm gonna fix this real quick. Here's my disclaimer, by the way. I haven't used this disclaimer for a while, so I like this disclaimer. I like it. I like making fun out of it, because if you use these videos for technical analysis, you're an idiot. Just point blank. Just you're a fucking idiot. Like, you shouldn't be using these kind of videos. Like, I'm a 20-year-old. Like, I'm the last person you should be looking to for financial advice. And the fact that people kind of, I mean, I know barely anyone does it, but it's still annoying to me as a YouTuber. So anyway, here we go. It should be fixed. Oh, I guess I can't fix it. Well, you're stuck with this, guys. Sorry. I'll give it a try later on in the live stream. I want to finish this point. The point is that, yeah, Bitcoin showing us that I don't think it's topped out yet. This is not in the theory I'm about to show you, but I think it's important anyway. And then obviously, is this a blow off top? That's the next question to ask. And the reason that I don't think that this is a blow off top is, again, because, blow off tops happen when you've had very, very extreme price action directly before. And this was extreme. This was very violent, but it wasn't extreme enough. It'll happen generally when absolutely nobody can entertain the idea that it can happen. When it's just too obvious that the market is going to be trending up forever, bam, that's when it happens. And by the way, a side note, and a very important side note, is that this kind of thing can only happen in the market when the bears have been disproven enough times, right? When the market does absolutely terrible, bearish, scary things, and it still continues trending up, that's when you have a bubble, that's when you have the blow off top, and that's when you have the final crazy rally. I get a lot of questions from people asking me things like, Sammy, what do I think is going to happen in January? Where is Bitcoin going to be? And so on. Somebody asked this at the beginning of the live stream. And the reason that I never entertain questions like this is that an extra week of going parabolic can double the price. So I have no bloody idea. Not only that, if you're asking me, what is your opinion for the end of this month? I can't tell you that because I first need to predict what's going to happen tomorrow on the 13th, and then what's going to happen on the 14th and 15th and 16th and 17th and so on. And obviously just multiplying probabilities, because I'd have to be correct about every single day in order to be correct about the 31st. I have zero chance of predicting what's going to happen. And you could turn around and say, yeah, but Sammy, you can just be a little bit more reasonable and just give your thoughts anyway. Do you think it's going to be above 60, below 50? I don't know. I don't know. I don't think there's any real way you can know. I don't. The only thing I try and do is predict the direct next move in the trend, because I have all of the possible data that I need to do it. This is a really important note. In order to predict what's going to happen at the end of this year, on the final day of this year, the best way to be able to predict that is if you have all the data for every single other day before the end of the year, because then you can make the most informed decision possible. And the only way you can do that in a regular environment is by predicting what's going to happen directly next, which is exactly why I trade in the way I do. It's the only way I'm comfortable and confident in my analysis, because I know that I have zero disability. There's nothing I'm missing. I have absolutely as much data as I can possibly have, and that means I can always make the best possible decision at that time. Very, very important note. A lot of people ask me questions like that, and I never entertain them, and that is why. What I can tell you, though, is, like I said, when these markets go parabolic, they go really, really crazy. So anyway, back to the point, I don't think that this is a blow off top, and the reason for that is it's just not extreme enough. It's just not extreme. We didn't have extreme emotions. I mean, it was fairly quick for people to start, not believing in this trend, right? When we have a real blow off top, it's going to just drop to shit, and people are still going to believe that it's true, and people are still going to believe that it's going to go back up to new all-time highs. This didn't drop to shit. I mean, this has dropped like what? I mean, it's a lot. Don't get me wrong. It's minus 30%. The low is minus 40%, which is very standard correction for Bitcoin, but it's really not that bad. It's not dropping from 20k to 6k and then still retaining hope at that point, right? Because that is, that's a big deal. That's where things get really ugly. And then, of course, just to remind you guys what a blow off top does look like. I mean, this is an example of what I mean by being really crazy. I mean, Bitcoin right here, pretty much from this point, guys, by the way, I'm never going to stop bragging about it. One of the best trades of my bloody life. Literally the day before this big pump happened, I knew exactly why it would happen. I'm not going to go over it in this live stream because I know it's boring for you because you weren't watching me back then, but I can't stop myself. This was a very, very impressive trade, and it was also one of the biggest percentage profits I ever made in my life. So very, very cool. And VIP was running back then. So if you're in VIP, you would know exactly what's going on. So shout out to those of you who've been with me since way back then. This is April of 2019. So if you were with me since back then inside of VIP, you're going to know that Four Flies knew this was going to happen. Four Flies entered along the day before, and bam, it blew up. Anyway, The thing that happened here was that from the 1st of April to the $14,000 top, Bitcoin rallied up really quickly. It more than tripled its price. A 200% gain is triple its price within less than 3 months. So very, very aggressive price action. Again, from 2020, if we look at this low to the high that Bitcoin set, within 3 months, it multiplied its price by 6.5 times, which means every dollar you had in Bitcoin over here would be worth $6.50 up here. So that's the level of extreme price action that we can expect, when we have a real blow off top. And this just wasn't it. If we look at this and we analyze what this was looking like, this was, 112 days to double. So it's not as extreme in terms of percentage gain. It's not as extreme in terms of price. There were real and healthy corrections. It's not a blow off top. It's just not. And that's why I think that this trend can continue rising up. And the whole argument that this person on TradingView is making is that typically Bitcoin, well, I'll just show it to you. Bitcoin will rise up, have a last shakeout, and then bam, blow up again. And I'll explain to you the targets of how we reached to $250,000. But first, I want to show you how this person is pointing out that this has happened in the past. So if you look at 2011 to 2013, and actually before I continue, let me just give credit to this guy, Trading Shot. I'm pretty sure he's like a big, this is a big TradingView analyst, right? So again, I'm not trying to throw shade on this guy. I'm sure he's an amazing analyst. I just think that this analysis is bad, and I'm telling you why. But I'm also showing it to you because some of it makes sense, some of it just downright doesn't. And that's what I want to show to you. So this is the part that kind of makes sense to me is, yeah, from kind of 2011. Oh, you can't see this. Hang on. Let me just move this. All right, this should be a little bit better. From 2011 to 2013, Bitcoin ended up rallying from a low, which is ridiculous, of about 60 cents all the way to $32, and then dropped quite a lot and continued trending up within one leg. This is what this person is saying, is that from this essentially from this green arrow to this red arrow, Bitcoin was in one trend, and it had a last shakeout and then ended up pumping up to $1,400. That's the whole argument here. Now this makes a little bit more sense if I skip the middle and I show you what happened in from 2018 to 2021. The top happening right here, we have a last shakeout, and then we have the blow off top right here, which is the true, like I said, it's the kind of price action that looks like this. Now this is where it kind of falls apart for me, is if we look at what's happening in the middle here. This person is again saying that we had the same thing from 2014 to 2017, but it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, because he's basically saying that we had a last shakeout happening right here, which is basically to say that the market was dropping down a lot. It had like a shakeout right here, a shakeout right here, a shakeout right here, and this was the last one, and then we had the blow off top. Now, the tricky part about this is that it's incredibly hard to say which one is going to be the last, right? This one right here at $3,000 could have been the last one, just as much as this one at $5,000, just as much as this one, which you can't even see, at $8,000, and so on, right? Any of these could have been the blow off top, and that's a really important thing to keep in mind, right? In order to predict which one is truly the top, I think you're better off rolling a dice. You genuinely are just not going to be like, there's no technical indicator which you can consistently depend on at a time like this, which will get it right. Right? There are indicators which are going to get it right, but these are going to be really weird indicators that you would have never looked at in the first place because they weren't useful in the first place, right? This is what happens when the kid at the back of the classroom that's generally an idiot but doesn't really say anything suddenly gets the math question right just out of nowhere because he was picking his nose and just thought of a number, right? That's what happens when people predict the top in markets like this. You just can't, because each of these tops are real tops in the market. It's just that they end up getting bought back up, right? That's a really important thing to keep in mind, right? Each of these tops have the potential to be the real top, they just get bought back up, and it's only the very last one that doesn't get bought back up. And how do you tell? Because the emotional frenzy is crazy in every single circumstance. So it's very hard to be able to tell, okay, this one is where the market truly is overstretched. Because I'll tell you what, guys, it was truly overstretched at 3,000, it was truly overstretched at 5, truly overstretched at 8. And so it's very, very hard to say. And this is the thing, is that each additional little bit of price action, a little bit of time, blows up the price. Absolutely blows up the price. Very, very important stuff to keep in mind right here. And the reason that I don't really agree with this analysis is that you're really stretching the definition of a shakeout right here. Anything could have been a shakeout. Why are these two a shakeout and not this little drop right here from 7.5, from 8,000 basically down to 5.5? Why is this not considered a shakeout if these two are? And why is it two shakeouts right here, but it's well, this is potentially one. I don't know what this person was trying to do here. And this is just one shakeout right here. So why are there two final? And my point is that I'm just kind of poking holes in this analysis because I think that the finer details of it are not done right. But the overall point, which is that we get shakeouts within an uptrend and they can easily be recovered in that longer term trend, and the market can just blow right back up, makes a lot of sense. Another thing to keep in mind is what's going on with the fundamental picture. How does Bitcoin look in the real world? And obviously a big question that you can ask in order to answer that question is, what is the inflation rate? And obviously there was the big inflation rate report. It was 6.8% with the US dollar. Obviously everyone is saying, no, it's a lot higher than that. Obviously, it probably is higher than that, but I don't want to get this too political, and so I'm going to steer away from that subject just a little bit. But obviously, if inflation is going up, or if it stays up, then prices will go up, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you're making profit on Bitcoin, because if Bitcoin rises by 6.8%, and the dollar has inflated at a rate of 6.8%, if 6.8% more dollars have been printed, something like that roughly, then you're not actually, you're not gaining more buying power, you're just seeing a higher number on the screen. That's inflation. But generally speaking, Bitcoin has been outrunning inflation by quite a lot. And yeah, if it keeps getting crazy, if it stays crazy, then yeah, I mean, fundamentally it's pretty sound. It makes a lot of sense. We already know what caused this big drop. It was leverage traders getting liquidated. Pretty standard stuff. I mean, we were warning you guys about this stuff so you didn't get trapped in this stuff way back. If you found that useful and it helped save you from some losses, do me a favor, smash up the likes, subscribe, tick the bell, do all that good stuff. If you want to jump inside of 4Fly's VIP, then take advantage of our 50% discount that we have going on right now by clicking on the first link in the description down below, and then the @4Flies button at the bottom of any post inside of 4Flies Gold, and then on send message to ask me how to join 4Flies VIP. Beautiful, beautiful stuff right there. And guys, real quick, I want to highlight to you VLaunch. Now, I mentioned this to you a little bit back. This is the new project that Chris Crypto right here and Mo are working on. I think they're the founders, maybe along with like one or two others. I don't even know. But the whole point of VLaunch, just so you know, is that this is a platform that other tokens are going to try to launch on. So in terms of things that I ideologically don't align with, these guys are basically going to be kind of letting them blow up. And this is the thing that I don't align with, is that you don't need tokens for this stuff, kind of like Tone Vase says. But where I'm not like Tone Vase is that if it's gonna make me money, I'll still buy it, which is why I still have no shame. I have no feelings at all towards buying Ripple. I don't care about buying Ripple. I don't care about buying other coins like Link or Tron or Cardano or Shiba, right? If I think that it's gonna make me money, I'm willing to buy it. And these guys are going to launch a crazy token, right? There's so much backing behind this token. I'm invested in this already, by the way. There's so much backing behind this token. And you can see behind them that they've just announced that they're going to be listed on Bitmex. Obviously, many of you guys know Bitmex. I used to work with them in the past. This is a big exchange. It's a really big exchange. One of the among the top tier of exchanges, if I'm not mistaken. To see that VLaunch is going to be on there means it's going to get a lot of eyeballs. It's going to be very liquid. This is something to keep an eye on, and if you want to check them out, their Twitter handle is right here, VLaunch.com on Twitter, and of course from there you can also go to their Telegram channel, which is also t.me/VLaunchCom. So please go ahead and check that out. These guys are potentially going to be launching something very big. And I wouldn't be surprised. Like, for example, on the launch day, obviously it's probably going to pump by quite a lot. But as soon as this thing dips, I think it could turn into a really good buy, and I'll be talking about it regularly. Not just because I bought it, but again, I talk about anything that I think can make me a lot of money very easily. And that's why I occasionally look at shitcoins like Ripple, shitcoins like Cardano, and of course the god tier shitcoins like Shiba as well, where I told you that I would be considering buying Shiba when it reaches a good buying level. And it doesn't matter what I think about it. If I think it's going to obviously make me money very quickly, well then I'm in. And by the way, can we just take a moment to appreciate how right we were on this YouTube channel? I don't like to do this too much, but my god, how can I resist today? This yellow circle is where I was warning you guys that this shitcoin was going to drop down to here. This yellow circle is where I was warning you guys that the price was going to drop down to here. And nobody believed me. My god, the hate I got for that video was ridiculous, which is exactly why I had to load up on that short position and rip a short profit off all of the shitcoin bag holders that just could not accept the potential reality that they can lose money and Mr. Four Flies can make money off their tiers on this drop right here. Was it this drop? I think it was this drop. Yeah, it worked out really, really nicely. I made like up to 130% profit. Again, super, super impressive. And of course, all of that went into Four Flies VIP. So very, very cool stuff. Yeah, this is forming a descending triangle just now. I just spotted this just now. I didn't even see this before. This is forming another descending triangle. Shiba really likes forming descending triangles, huh? It's formed a few of them. Look at that. There's another one right here. Formed a descending triangle, broke down. It fakes out a lot. It's very dangerous, but it does like to form descending triangles. So this is interesting. I mean, this can potentially be a short at like 3,500 and then potentially drop a little bit lower. So yeah, cool stuff. I'll talk about all that stuff later. I just want to finish off this analysis on this big chart right here. As we're going along, please do me that favor. Smash up the likes. Subscribe if you're new to this channel. And of course, you can start dropping your comments in the questions now. And I will start going through those questions shortly. So here we go. The whole idea is that we have these last fake outs and then we blow up, and I definitely think that's going to happen. And then how did this person arrive to these numbers, to this 250k target? So this is using a fib extension. I don't actually use fib extensions in my analysis, but he's done it right here, so that's perfectly fine. Basically drawing the fib extension from the $3,100 low to the $20,000 top from 2017, and then extending it upwards, and you can see that that gives us a few kind of speculative targets. Now unfortunately I can't really zoom in on this chart. Is there any way for me to... Yeah, I can't zoom in on this, but anyway, you can start to gain an appreciation for these numbers anyway. This is really scarily accurate. Like, I mean, the 1.618 Fibonacci retracement or Fibonacci extension lines up with 62.5, and as we know, each of these Fibonacci levels can be used as resistance, and bam, that's exactly where we got a huge rejection in the market. Really eerie. Again, showing us that we can expect to find some pretty serious resistance at 85,000. The most serious resistance is always the 618 level, and so we've already dealt with that. We're dealing with it right now. This is also resistance, but because it's the 786 level, it's just generally not as strong as the 618 level. Don't ask me why. I'm going to have to explain that for another 2 hours, and I don't want to be spending that much time on this topic. And so that's basically, something to keep in mind as well. I think something to make you all aware of is yeah, we can expect a little bit of resistance right there. But then the next key level that we can expect resistance at in terms of this Fibonacci extension is going to be on the 2.382 level, which, by the way, is it's not a mirror, but it's like a factor of the 1.618 level. Now, maybe I'm going a little bit too advanced with the mathematical terms I'm using, because I know some of you guys are foreign and you don't know words like factor, but it's like a multiple of 1.618, 2.382. Like they're kind of like multiples of each other. I don't know the right words to use in this context. Anyway, they're related to each other. That's what you need to keep in mind. 618 is strong, 382 is always strong, and this level pointing at $260,000. So this could be a potential blow off top to expect off this analysis, and this is the part that I still agree with. My only qualm with this analysis is that the last shakeout thing I think is a little bit iffy. I don't even think that 2011 to 2013 was one cycle. This person is saying that when Bitcoin pumped from basically 50 cents all the way to its top in 1400, this was the same rally. or he is saying that when Bitcoin topped at 30 and then went up to 1300, again, he's saying that this was the same rally, and I just don't agree with that. It's just like this is my primary problem with a lot of analysts in this space, is that they really try and bend definitions, sometimes outright doing it incorrectly, like saying last shakeout, although these were 2 shakeouts. And then there was another shakeout right here anyway, and let me just show you the shakeout. I know it looks really small on his chart, but that's actually a pretty big one. Let's just show this to you all on the daily time frame going back to 2017. And the reason I'm showing this to you, again, look, I have to make it super clear. I'm not trying to throw shade at this guy. I just want you guys to understand what flawed analysis can look like so that you can spot it and then navigate it safely and keep your money safe. It's really important to be able to do that. And again, you should be able to do that with me, and I welcome it as much as possible. No one really does it, but to challenge my analysis, I mean, people do challenge my analysis, but they just outright say "fuck you, Sammy." So that's not really the same thing as proper criticism. But this is the drop that this person was failed to include, and the drop that he did include was this one right here. So I mean, they're pretty similar drops, right? Like this is a real shakeout too, in my opinion. If we measure this drop from high to low, Bitcoin fell by 40%. This drop from high to low, Bitcoin fell by 29%. So, I mean, it's not as extreme as the drop right here, but it's still the real deal. It's still a minus 29% drop. And why is this not considered a fake out if this is? And again, this is important stuff to keep in mind, because if you're not, this is almost what I would call like analysis hygiene. This is just general stuff where if you don't get it right, you're going to compromise other things down the line. In this case, the rest of his analysis, in my opinion, is not compromised. I agree with it. But it does mean that he will make mistakes in the future if he isn't clinical about other things like this in the future. It's the same reason why, drivers in England, for example, who are, and I'm sorry to the rest of the world, they are the best drivers in the world. I've driven all over the world, and I know this is a fact. Best drivers in the world, you can only find them in England and the other, British countries. The reason that we're so good is that we get taught with extreme discipline on what to do on the road. And that means when it comes to the smaller stuff, we're just generally safer drivers. Other people who aren't taught the importance of getting the really small stuff perfect are going to fuck up the big stuff too. That's my point. And this applies in analysis as well. So now that I've said my piece and I've also adequately pissed a lot of people off, you guys know the deal. If you don't like it, get out. And let's go straight to the questions. Now, I have to remind you guys, if you have questions for me on this live stream and I haven't already answered them, obviously I haven't answered anything, but after about 10-20 minutes, if I still haven't answered it, you can drop it again. And make sure to write my name at Sammy Loyal. It's going to autofill to make my whole YouTube channel name. If you don't write my name, I'm probably not going to see your comment. If you do, I will definitely see your comment. So let's go over to this. Thank you all for shooting up those likes as well. I love you all very, very much. Thank you for that. Let's see where we're at. We're at about 800 views. See, this is the thing, is that the YouTube channel has been doing so well, like in terms of normal videos, but I tell my wife that she backed into my van today. Well, you say backed into, so I don't think you're British, because British people don't say backed into. That's a very American term. I'm sorry about that, man. That sounds like a hell of a headache. Yeah. See, the British people in this chat, they know that the British drivers are hands down the best. Hands down. Brits are the best chefs too. I think you're pushing it down, mate. But anyway, let's start going through the questions. Let's see what's up here. I am probably going to miss a lot of these because most of these questions don't even tag me. If you don't tag me, like I said, there is a big chance I'm not going to see your question. But if you do tag me, I'll definitely see it. So let's start going through this stuff right here. What have we got? Let's see. Sorry, I'm just sifting through a bunch of normal comments right now. Is when we reach 51,000 again the right time to sell a part of the top? Whoa, this is a hell of a question. This is not phrased very well. Let me repeat this. This person is saying, if and when we reach $51,000, is that the right time to sell a portion of the top 10 altcoins he's holding in order to reduce risk? If you don't understand that, just rewind, but I said it very clearly. Alex, I'm not your financial advisor, so I can't tell you that. If we take a look at the Bitcoin dominance, it's pretty interesting, right? If you look at how this has been moving lately, it's gained a lot of dominance against the rest of the market. In terms of just the past 2 days, this is very important. It fell down to a floor. It looks like this has consistently been a floor now, which is interesting. And that floor is at about 40%, which means 40% of all of the money in crypto. 40% of all of the value in crypto is in Bitcoin. And that potentially, tells us a little bit about where the rest of the market is. But on moves like what we saw today and yesterday, that is kind of shifting to be in favor of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's gained about 1%. I know you can't see the number because it's covered by my camera, but I'm reading it to you. It's gone from a low of it's gone from a low of about 39.99% up to a high of about 41.72 in the space of 3 days. So that's a lot, and we can see this across the altcoin market. Even the big one, Ethereum against Bitcoin, which has gained a lot of strength against Bitcoin, has also seen a little bit of a drop. Quite a bit of a drop, actually. If we take a look at this, it's quite a substantial drop. And then other altcoins, they've really been getting pummeled. They've really been struggling. This is Cardano right here. This is Tron. Tron's been super stable somehow. But just overall not doing well anyway. If we really zoom out, and you're going to consistently see that it's the same deal with many other altcoins. So, this is very clearly showing us that Bitcoin is kind of gaining some strength against the rest of the market, and that's generally a pretty good thing, because that's basically telling us that this market is resetting. A lot of the idiots that are just sticking their fingers in their noses and drawing conclusions like Shiba to the moon, that they're kind of getting washed out and so on, which is generally a good thing. And so it's interesting to see that moving now. Now, as for Bitcoin rising up to 51K, I think this person is asking that question because 51K is resistance. Look, in a bearish trend, resistance is where you would sell. So, beyond that, I can't really say because I'm not your financial advisor. But, obviously, if we're in a bearish trend and altcoins are bleeding against Bitcoin, because they have been, if they haven't, kind of lost. If the dominance hasn't been rising, what they definitely still have been doing is losing against the dollar, which I think is really important, right? There's no way that you're in a winning position if you've been holding an altcoin recently, is my point. And that's very, very important, So in a downtrend, holding an altcoin is almost never a good thing, in my opinion. Let's go on to the next question right now. I actually think we're getting closer to 1 million than not by the end of the cycle. This person thinks that by the end of the cycle, which will extend into 2023, we will reach, we will close in on $1 million. Cool. Hopefully we do. Let's see what else we got here. Purely looking at Bitcoin USD won't give you the real world analysis. If you want to see what inflation looks like, check out Bitcoin on the Turkish lira. Let's go ahead and do that. I haven't seen Bitcoin against the lira for a long time. I don't want to use Binance for this. Is there another chart I can use? Hang on. Okay, yeah, it's pretty much only. What is the US dollar doing? Oh shit. Okay. Oh, I've looked at this chart before. Oh no, I haven't. This is crazy. Wow. Like, a lot of this damage just happened last month. What the fuck? No one's talking about this. Nobody's talking about this. From the beginning of November, you could have bought 9 US dollars. No, I'm sorry, 9 Turkish liras for 1 US dollar. And then at the end of November, you could have bought 13 Turkish liras with $1, which is 43% inflation. Which means if you had a 1% pound, $1 loaf of bread, you would have had to spend $1.50 to buy it, $1.40 even. Within 1 month. That is crazy. That is crazy. It's not really giving me anything I can add to my analysis because we already knew that hyperinflation was happening in the world. We already knew that this was happening to the Turkish lira, to, you know, Venezuela's currency and so on, and the US dollar to a lesser extent. So it doesn't change my analysis on Bitcoin. Obviously, it just means that in the long term, Bitcoin has to go up, if nothing else, because of inflation, as long as everything else stays the same. And this is something I'm going to do a dual live stream with MDX Crypto to talk about. MDX Crypto is another really like well thought out technical analyst. A lot like me. You'll like his stuff. We actually we talk about the same stuff without watching each other. Like we have the same strategies for TA and so on. So if you like my stuff, you're gonna like him. Go ahead and check him out. You know, this is something that I was having a big conversation with him, which is that as long as everything stays the same with Bitcoin fundamentally, if inflation carries on in a vacuum, Bitcoin should probably continue to rise up. And actually, I was disagreeing with him, but he had a couple of beers, so I'm guessing that his arguments were just a little bit flawed because of that, because he wasn't exercising nuance with his argument. And that is something which really gets to me, because I feel like nuance is incredibly important, but he was like 6 beers in at that point, so you know, I can't really expect nuance in a conversation about macroeconomics and Bitcoin, especially while we're at a shisha lounge and there's incredibly loud music. But he is a very cool guy. He actually does like drinking live streams a lot, which are very entertaining, so go ahead and check that out as well. Anyway, let's just move back to the questions right here. Some very interesting questions today. Thank you very much. People will revolt if inflation keeps rising. Think the Fed is going to sound tough on inflation, which will crash all the markets. Why would that crash markets? Oh, right. Sure. I don't know. Not really a question. Let me just go to the questions. I don't want to repeat statements because there's so many statements here. I'll be here for all day. Let's just see where the questions are at. Okay, I'm only going to go for questions that tag me from now on because it's really hard to find them and I'm just annoying the other viewers here. Sorry, who have to wait for me. Yeah, the US has terrible drivers. It is scary. It's so scary. I'll tell you what's scarier is Dubai though. I can't decide if Dubai or Italy is worse for driving. It might be Italy. It might be. Just because I feel like at least in Dubai, people still care about the consequences, but in Italy, it's just constantly, fuck you, I don't give a fuck about anything. And they have that attitude in Dubai, but they still care. A little bit. I don't think they do in Italy. Anyway, I'm only going to go for questions that tag me, which means you have to write the @ symbol, and then write my channel name, and then autofill it, and then you write your question. So basically, @ symbol, my channel name, and then write your question. If you don't do that, I will not read your comment. It's just too hard to find questions otherwise. Forflies, are you considering spot-driven accumulation throughout this price action, or just perpetual contracts? This person is asking me, do I think that during this price action that people are buying Bitcoin on the spot markets, i.e. without leverage, that people are just buying Bitcoin normally, accumulating it at a low level in order to potentially enjoy a blast off? Do I think that's happening? Well, I think that's always happening. I think that's happening at accumulation points and at distribution points. Take a look at this, right? Here was a like an easy distribution point to what do I call it? Signify it? What is the point? No, not signify. To point out? To pinpoint? I don't know the word I'm looking for. Is right here, kind of between 50k to 60k, where we see, you know, relative stability, and we see it a little bit more clearly on, you know, the daily time frame and a lot more clearly on the weekly time frame, where you can really start to appreciate that, yeah, the market was just kind of sideways for a little bit more or less, and it did have its wild swings, don't get me wrong, but overall it was more or less just kind of, you know, if you had a moving average at this point, let's just throw on a moving average right here, you'd see that the moving average, see right at the end, really stabilizes. This red line right here is the 50-day moving average, showing us that, yeah, I mean, towards the end, it obviously this indicator lags a little bit, but towards the end, it's really showing us that it's stabilized by quite a bit. And actually, if I make this a slightly more sensitive indicator, perhaps 40, we'll probably see it stabilize a bit earlier. Yeah, so see more or less stabilizing kind of from this point here instead of just from this point here, which I think is important to keep in mind because it's basically showing us that the market was more or less trading sideways, you know, just kind of ranging in between, yeah, like I said, kind of like 50k and 60k broadly speaking, and that was where a lot of people were, you know, a lot of whales were distributing their Bitcoin in order to obviously perhaps buy back a little bit lower or just to take profits on their positions. But a lot of people were also, if we replay the chart, were also expecting, including me, that this was just going to be a little bit of, you know, kind of stabilization before the market blows up again. And so those people were accumulating. And you only really know who was making the right play after the move happened. Because if you look at what happened here, right, we had a similar situation. Probably this box is a little bit more obvious, but just the whole range. We had a similar situation where a lot of people were accumulating Bitcoin in this range, and a lot of other people were distributing Bitcoin in this range, anticipating a sell-off. And so, you know, I think it's always happening. To answer your question more directly, though, he wants to know if I think this is an accumulation phase or if this is a distribution phase. I know you didn't say that, but I can tell that that's what you're getting at. You know, I think this is probably an accumulation phase. I don't see it being distribution because we've already suffered a 40% correction. I do think that we have a little bit more downside in because I just, on the short-term chart, I don't see anything hopeful at all. It's really bad on the short-term chart, in my opinion, but that doesn't change the fact that we've now dropped by 40%. We've dropped to a critical support level, and we have had, for all intents and purposes, in my opinion, a healthy correction. And so I think that this thing should be able to blast back up, you know, in that longer term. So yeah, I think that this is accumulation, and I obviously I think that is happening in the spot market. Hopefully that answers your question. Let's go on to the next one right here. Definitely getting really advanced. You know, you guys know what I try to do here. I'm trying to, you know, give you guys quite complex analysis with, you know, relatively straightforward words. You know, I want the average person to be able to understand this. If you have never heard of these kind of things before, that hopefully you can make out most of what I'm saying. That's what this YouTube channel is about. I will be wrapping up this live stream soon. We're about 1 hour in, but it's just not picking up traction, which is just annoying for me. Because obviously, it's the thing is like from my perspective, it's quite a lot of work. I got to sit here and talk continuously for an hour. It's 1 a.m. I would rather go to sleep, and so, you know, it's gotta feel kind of it's gotta feel like it's having a good level of output. Is the point. Let's go into the next questions for now. I'll answer all of the questions before I leave. Will Bitcoin go to 30k or 42k back, and will it enter a bull market? I don't like questions like this, man. You're asking me to make blanket statements. I'm not even gonna answer that. Can we get some more thought out questions than that? Okay, I'll answer it anyway. I'll be nice. Do I think we're gonna go to 30k? Yeah, it's possible. Do I think we're gonna go to 42k? Yeah, it's possible. Will we enter a bull market? I think definitely yeah. There you go. That's the best you're getting from me, mate. Low effort questions, you're gonna get a low effort answer. I'm sorry, dude. I'm from Manchester. I probably watch too much US YouTube. Oh, okay, that makes sense. That's why you said that she backed into your van. Sean. Forflies, love your stuff, man. I just want to point out that I think the guy was showing the last shakeout in the middle chart was on the right side of the peak. 7,500 to 4,700. Let me take a look at that. So this person is saying that is in the middle. It was on the right side of the peak. What? I don't get that. Even then, dude, that's not clear. I'm sorry. See, all the Americans know that you guys are bad drivers. I mean, just generally, everyone thinks they're a good driver, but generally, American drivers are pretty terrifying. Aussies are pretty good. Yeah, I haven't been to Australia. I mean, anything descending from the British is probably going to be alright when it comes to driving, I'm sure. I'm sounding like I'm a massive patriot. I'm not. My country's falling apart. It's the most heartbreaking thing ever. I miss the UK. I miss what it used to be. Forflies, this is whale manipulation. I didn't say that. Do you think the whales are reluctant to take Bitcoin too low to trigger a huge sell-off, since that would hurt the overall value of their own bags? Well, clearly they're not concerned about hurting the overall value of their bags because they've just dropped by 40%. So don't use that as a reason that they might not do it. I honestly I don't want to go too deep into that, because when you start entertaining ideas like that, it's almost like you're resigning to the idea that there is some shadowy group of people that you'll never be able to be like and you'll never be able to understand. That's kind of, I feel like that's what questions like that push you into believing, at least subconsciously, and it's just not productive. It's just not productive, man. So you know, I don't actually have many thoughts on the manipulation, because the fact is, most of the time it lines up really well with existing technical analysis. So that's all I care about. What crypto is Facebook associated with? I have no idea. I don't pay attention to outside cryptos, nor do I pay attention to Facebook. Sammy, why do analysts expect Bitcoin prices go double in a few months? Probably because that's what we're used to, although that is a little bit concerning. Also, it gets you a lot of views to say it's going to go up. From watching your videos, I've only just started dollar cost averaging now with 90% left on the side. That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool. I mean, I think I would be a little bit more aggressive right now, to be honest, because it's just down by 40%. I mean, like I said, this is usually the biggest drop that you see in any Bitcoin bull market. Obviously, this was an exception right here from 65 down to 29, but we generally don't drop more than 40%. If I still had money on the side, I would be buying very aggressively right now. I kind of wish I could, to be honest. It's a pretty good buying level. Let's see. $1 and $1.40 is not much. Nah, it is a lot, David. It's a lot. It's a lot. Because when you consider that, like, let's say the average working family was making like $2,000 and their living expenses were $1,800, right? So they were like saving $200 a month, which is kind of like the American dream. Like, most people aren't even doing that. But I don't know if most people aren't, but I think it's like 30% of Americans aren't saving anything every single month. You know, if suddenly, you know, your costs of 1,800 get multiplied by 1.4x, your costs are now 2,500, but your salary has not gone up. So now you're out of pocket $500 every month, and if you don't have savings, you're fucked. And if you do have savings, you're wiping through 3 months worth of savings every single month. And if you only have, say, a year of savings, which is a pretty good, it's a pretty healthy pot for the average kind of, you know, worker. You've got a year of savings, you're in a good place. You're going to wipe through that in 4 months at that inflation rate. So yeah, it's a big deal, dude. It's a really big deal. Like that's where starvation happens. That's where you move out of your house. That's where you sell your car. That's the level of inflation. That it's really bad, man. It's shocking, really. And people just, it's not even in the news. I didn't even know about it. I didn't know about it. This is my job. It's not even in the news, man. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. Like, I don't need to keep up to date with this in order to trade well. You guys know I'm already in a nice place. Like, I don't need to be aware of this stuff, but it's good to. It's definitely good to. How much is a recommended percentage of my holdings to trade? Generally, anywhere between, what is it, 0.8% and 3%, I think? Or 0.1% and 3%. That's generally like of a whole portfolio. That's what most traders would continue to be a good trade size. Forflies, if this is well, oh, that's the same question. High inflation, a tragedy of people. Really, it's so sad. It's so sad. Let's see. I don't want to miss any questions. Like I said, I'm only going through questions that tag me with my name. So at Forflies. Someone's asking, is this live? Yes, sir, it is live. Let me make sure I don't miss any questions at all. Where's the bigger support for Bitcoin in my view? 44. 44 is where I think the big support is. 44, 42. Let's see what else we have. What is my take on Sand and Mana? I don't have an opinion, but we are analyzing that inside of VIP. What is your biggest bag you're holding besides Bitcoin and Ethereum? It's probably Swissborg token. And Swissborg token has been doing okay. It's now up to about 66 cents. I told you guys I bought it at 29 cents. It's doing okay. It's not amazing. It's not amazing. I think it's actually underperformed against Bitcoin, which is the real tragedy in my opinion in terms of my play right here, because I bought it when it was down here at 29 cents. And yeah, now, I mean, it's doubled, which is cool. But in that time, what did Bitcoin do? Let me actually check this. 26th of January. This is how I measure if a trade is successful or not. Would I have made more money if I just held Bitcoin? And if the answer is yes, it was a failure. So 26th of January, Bitcoin's trading at $32,000. And in order for my Swissborg trade to have been a failure, Bitcoin would need to be higher than about 66,000. So actually, I'm doing really well. I'm actually outperforming Bitcoin by a lot, by at least 40%. So, pretty good, pretty good. That's how Swissborg is going. That's cool. I know you didn't ask, but that's my third biggest bag after Ethereum and Bitcoin. Is Swissborg. Actually, I hold more Swissborg than I hold Ethereum. Fun fact for those of you who don't know that. I hold more Swissborg than I hold Ethereum because I was expecting it to outperform Bitcoin. So pretty cool. And obviously, I think that Swissborg's going to... I spoke to you guys about it before. I think it's going to go back to its previous all-time highs at like $1.50, $1.70. I don't know why it hasn't already, but this thing kind of moves in its own way. And what I do know is that it's performed exceptionally well in the face of all of this weakness, which is pretty good. US Empire, I like that. That's funny. Will not allow Bitcoin to reach $1 million. Well, I mean, I think you could have said the same thing about 1,000 and 10,000 and 50,000. So I'm not so sure. That sounds like one of those typical blanket statements that people make and then forget about when the thing actually happens. What do I think about market makers? Also, no thoughts on market makers. What about the Bitcoin Australia dollar chart? Sounds interesting. Let me take a look at that. Bitcoin Australia dollar. Is that right? Oh, it's not even showing up. Is this even Australian dollar? I don't see a chart for that. Unless I'm being an idiot, I don't see a chart for that. Oh, it's AUD, isn't it? Is that what you're talking about? You're gonna have to clarify that. Wait, let's just see if it's a different chart. I mean, this is broadly the same chart as the US dollar chart, so I'm guessing that you meant something else. What crypto? Yeah, I already answered that one. Have we already seen the bottom when dropping? I think we have. I think we've already seen the bottom. If anything, we might just set a slightly higher low, I think, and then continue trending back up. That's what I think we're going to be getting. Perfect answer. This is the person asking about accumulation and distribution. He's saying that was a perfect answer. There's also a possibility for a redistribution pattern as well. Yes, there always is. I think that this one is probably an accumulation phase, though, so we end up rising up. Guys, by the way, just want to remind you guys to follow me on Instagram. I'm pretty active on there. If you look in the description, I think it should be in the description. Let me just double check. I post some updates and stuff like that on what I'm doing. Is it in the description? Oh shit, no, it's not. Is it? Well, it's definitely on my channel if you click on my icon. Let me just add it to the description right now. Before I forget, if you refresh the live stream in about 15 seconds, my Instagram will be linked in the description. So please go ahead and check that out. It's basically, it's just, I'll just show it to you. This is my Instagram. Go check it out. I want to grow this a little bit. And of course Twitter. I think this is going to ask me to log in. Oh no, it's not. Yeah. Pretty cool page. I love cars. I'm a big car guy. I have a problem. But yeah, you can kind of watch me in my daily life here in Dubai. I don't do fun stuff like the other YouTubers do anymore. I kind of got bored of it. I decided that, you know, I'm in my 20s. I've just entered my 20s. I'm 20 and it's very early on, but I want to be a little bit more serious, because being serious about my future has completely changed my life. And like, why stop just because I'm wealthy now? You know what I mean? Like, why should I stop just because I have money? That doesn't make sense to me. So I've unplugged myself from a lot of the fun, which is difficult. I get fear of missing out, man. Like it's fun hanging out with the other guys and kicking it, and they're all watching the Abu Dhabi stuff right now. I turned it all down, you know, which I don't usually do. But I want to be a little bit more focused. I want to really deliver and improve on all fronts. and you still get to see that on the Instagram. So if you like me and you want to see more about that stuff, bam, right there on screen. Let's go back to the price action and the questions though. How do I feel about the sideways price action until Bitcoin is oversold on the weekly? Not sure how to answer that because we're not trading sideways. And what is the RSI showing us? Well, I mean, getting oversold on the weekly is going to take a really long time, so I don't really want to comment on that. Four flies, maybe lots of people watch the video later on. Alex, unfortunately not. If the live stream doesn't peak at a high amount of concurrent viewers, like viewers at the same time, the replay almost never does well. So I already know that this live stream replay is gonna underperform compared to a normal video. I've never seen an exception, unfortunately. Like the replay will do well if the live stream itself is doing well. And not in any other case, in my experience. It's weird, man. The algorithm's weird. But that's why the engagement helps so much. As soon as the engagement goes up, YouTube starts realizing, alright, this video is cool, people like it, let me push it to more people. Four flies, when Lambo? I hate Lambos. I've driven a lot of Lamborghinis. I've just given my mom a Lamborghini Urus for a month. Yeah, a lot of people, I don't usually rent cars, I like to buy them. There's no way I would buy a Lambo Urus though, that's disgusting. And people talk about how like you gotta be broke if you're renting cars. Like, you don't understand how expensive it is to rent expensive cars. Like, to rent an Urus is ridiculously expensive, and to rent it for a month is crazy. But yeah, I got her that. I've driven Huracans and Performantes and stuff, and they are the worst supercars I've ever driven. Hands down. Like, most supercars are pretty cool in some way. Lambos just aren't. Lambos are just fast. Just to show off. I mean, it's the most shallow supercar, the most shallow car I've ever driven. It honestly makes me sad. Because I'm a massive car. Like, you can see my Instagram. Like, I'm a huge car guy. This is my Ferrari, my Tesla. And then there's the Porsche as well, but it's not shown here. Got two Porsches. Like, I'm a huge car guy. And so, like, I've driven them all, and Lamborghinis are just depressing. They make me feel upset. Like, you had potential to be so great, and you chose to just show off. You know what I mean? Like, it's really sad. Anyway, let's go back to Bitcoin. I don't want to talk about cars and stuff like that right now. Four flies, here's a question. I'm aware double chops in crypto don't happen much. However, don't you think that there is a possibility for a first-time double top considering a higher market cap? Not really. If it doesn't typically happen, I wouldn't expect it to happen in the future, even though past performance is not an indication of future results. I'm just not really very worried about that. It's yeah, I mean, like you said, it just doesn't typically happen. And like I said earlier on this live stream, the only way I can expect a market cycle like this to end is with a huge blow off top, and we just didn't get that. Because a prerequisite to a huge blow off top is a ridiculous rally that precedes it, and we didn't have that. And I've already broken down why. It's because the price action wasn't extreme enough to the upside, nor fast enough to the upside. Good questions from you though, thank you very much. Flies, which has been my favorite country to visit? You know, I'm probably going to get a little bit of hate for this, but probably the United States. The reason for that is it's got LA, and LA is my favorite place on the planet. So, and it's actually a very diverse country. I mean, you're basically getting like half a continent in one country. Like, there's so much diversity. You have everything you could possibly want in one country. Like, if I was born in the States, I would love it. I'm glad I'm not. I'm glad, honestly, I think I would lack critical thinking skills as much as I do now if I was born in the States. I'm really sorry for that. I know a lot of people are going to be upset by that, but like, I've just met too many people across the world now to think anything different. Americans generally, unless they've made a special effort or had an especially good education, are a lot more kind of closed-minded in certain ways. They lack critical thinking for sure. They're like one of the most manipulated people on the planet. And the funny part is they think other people are really manipulated. But if I was like, if I was just living a more simple life, man, what a great place to be. So United States probably the coolest. I throw a lot of shade to it, but you know the reason I do it is because to me, like, I'm really inspired by countries like the US, and then I see them completely fucking themselves over, and it's just so sad. It really is. Like, that is a country which I've even considered taking up citizenship in because I'd like to live in it. But I can't and won't do that because they're just shooting themselves in the foot all the time, and it's so sad. Other than that, I'm wondering what else did I really like. I mean, Monaco's pretty cool, but it gets boring. Switzerland is amazing. Switzerland is really nice. It's just so pure and fresh and beautiful. And did I mention beautiful? Yeah, it's amazing. Where else? I love the UAE, obviously, and the United Arab Emirates. I live here, so yeah. I mean, this is obviously a really cool place, but I feel like it's a little bit boring because you can't really explore much, in my opinion. You know, like, it's actually pretty small where the cities are. The cities are only along the coast, and there's only like 2 or 3 big ones that you'll go to. So I feel like it's a bit too much of a small country for me, especially me. Like, I'm someone that likes to tour continents in cars. I like to really drive long distances and really explore and then stop in places and just have a little mini adventure. You're definitely not going to be able to do that in this country, in the UAE. How is my mom liking the Urus? Does she still want a Honda? So the backstory here is my mom wanted like a normal like Toyota Honda kind of car, and I got her an Urus as a surprise. Well, she really likes it because, dude, it's exactly the same as her Audi Q5. When I was 18, I surprised my mom with an Audi Q5. She always wanted an Audi, and we just couldn't afford one growing up. Didn't come from a rich family, so I bought her one as a surprise, and I drove it to her. And obviously she loved that car, but this Urus is the same damn car. Under the skin, it is an Audi through and through. In its tech and its infotainment system, it is an Audi. The only thing that's different is it's got a body kit on it, and it's got a very, 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 very expensive badge. So yeah, she likes the Urus because it's the same car she's used to already. Facebook was associated with Libra, probably the biggest dump a crypto token has ever taken in history. It could totally 100,000x. Don't leave home without your lucky dollar in Libra. That's an interesting take. Can we even see Libra? It might. Oh, it has started trading. In my head, it didn't even start trading yet. But this is not the same thing. I don't think we're talking about the same thing right here. Anyway, let's see this percent drop, because this is pretty big. It was a 95% drop. It's pretty crazy. Have I ever heard about the Bitcoin Deca cycle theory? No, that sounds like bullshit. Definitely not interested in the 10-year cycle theory of Bitcoin, considering it's only been around for what, 12 years? I'm not believing no Deca cycle shit. Nah. That's the kind of thing you say when you've really got like some special high-end premium, you know, lotion on your side and you're just ready to go to ham. That's the kind of stuff you're talking about. Bitcoin Deca cycle theory. Bloody hell. How else can we be more desperate? Seems like a lot of these YouTubers have run out of money to buy the dip. Obviously, yeah. I mean, if you're buying the dip every time, you would have run out of money like 3 years ago, to be fair. Because, you know, you can't keep on buying the dip forever. What would I be buying if I had money on the side? I don't know, probably more cars. I'm a really big fan of cars. Someone asked me, why do I live in the UAE if I don't like it? I didn't say I don't like it. I said I like to adventure. And actually, it's an interesting question. So the thing is, like, for me, I do a lot of fun stuff in my life, which is absolutely amazing. But I wanted to be able to have a time where I'm hunkered down and working and focused. Dubai makes that difficult because there's always a party and there's always like beautiful women everywhere, and it's just always like that. And there's always something going on. There's always an event. There is a drive. There's a supercar event or something. You know, but I've decided that, you know, before I moved here, I was just kind of you know, tune it out. I'd engage it a little bit. I'd enjoy it because, like I said, I'm super young. I've never experienced this stuff before. You know, I'll try it out, but then I'll just kind of move back to a normal routine. You know, working really hard, improving my skills, reading books, going to the gym, working out, stuff like that, which is what I've been doing very well lately. And then when summer rolls around, I will go back to the places which I really, really enjoy being in. you know, for a place to just live in and get on with my shit and not to be bothered by the government and so on, the UAE is hands down one of the best places on this planet, in my opinion. It really is. They just leave you alone, man. Like, they just give you freedom, and they don't bother you. Is my experience, and it makes sense if you look at their policies, you know. And then, you know, my truly favorite places on the planet are places, you know, in Europe, in the United States, and I'd like to go there, you know, for the other 6 months when, you know, the UAE is not in winter, because I just wanted a winter with sun where I can drive supercars. The other thing to keep in mind is because of my age at 20, you know, I'm a huge supercar guy, but I can't drive them because I'm too young in other countries. Like in the UK, this Tesla is a Model 3. I look like such a thug here. This is a wrong image. I look like an idiot here too. Here's the problem with me being 20. I post embarrassing stuff. But the Tesla, look, it's constantly an embarrassing picture. What am I doing with my life? It costed me like £8,000 to insure. I mean, it was ridiculously expensive, you know. And this Ferrari, by the way, in Dubai, to insure this in Dubai, costed me £6,000. Ferrari £6,000, Tesla £8,000, Porsche also £8,000. Look at me. I'm not really helping my case, pointing out to you how I look like a complete idiot, and I just roll with it just for fun. But yeah, that's another reason. At least I can drive the cars I want here, and for me, driving is a big deal. What do I think about VeChain? Nothing really, man. Nothing really. 2 days ago, you shared a trading view chart of an analyst named Fabic who showed a descending pattern. He has shared another chart today showing 3 peaks and doomed house pattern. Yeah, everyone's talking about this doomed house pattern right now. Let's take a quick look at this. I mean, this was actually popularized by Crypto, if I'm not mistaken, just earlier today. I was thinking of making a video on this. I can just make this an entirely different video. The 3 peaks are here. This guy's extending it a bit. You have a first floor, and then you form a head and shoulders pattern. I think I should save this for another live stream altogether. I'm just going to leave this tab open because this is going to be another big discussion. Personally, I think that this is really, like, you know, put it this way, to quote Zuby, I hope you stretched before making that reach. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you're really jumping out and grabbing at straws, in my opinion, with this kind of analysis. And the primary reason for that is you are literally assuming that a head and shoulders pattern will form before you even form the beginning of the left shoulder, right? Like, you're assuming that this whole pattern, points 20 to 26, are going to, you're assuming that the next 6 key points in this market are going to happen before the first one even happened, right? This is like me saying, like, I don't know, like, I'm trying to, I have no idea. I can't think of an analogy as ridiculous as this. You know, like, you're trying to say that something absolutely huge, where so many other things can play a part on this and ruin your idea so that it doesn't actually happen. You're saying that this could happen before it's even started. You know, here's an interesting analogy. It's like, you know, it's like a kid's just being like grown, like a woman's pregnant, and you're immediately assuming that this person is going to be a doctor, or an astronaut, or a bloody, you know, deer hunter. You know, like, there's no way you can know. There's no way you can know. And at that point, I just, like, I mean, look, it's interesting as a thought experiment, but it ends there as a thought experiment. I retired my family and friends before I spent any money on myself. How'd you retire your friends as well? That's going to be expensive. It never rains in LA, dude. LA is the best place in the world, in my opinion. It's so cool. Never been to Amsterdam? Of course I've been to Amsterdam. Yeah. Amsterdam's pretty cool. Any thoughts on the next local bottom? 44 to 42 is my next target for a local bottom, which I covered in the previous video, so please go back and watch that. Yeah, I haven't been to Norway yet. I was supposed to go this year, but I just didn't have a chance. I wanted to drive there. US drivers are the worst, being from the US. But do you think that the whale... Interesting subject change. But do you think that the whale manipulation that's knocking out a bunch of leverage is causing fear to the retail and small investors? Yes, sir. Look at the fear and greed index. Bam. Today, 16. Yesterday, 24. And last week, 25. So yes, generally people are very fearful right now in this market. I hardly believe that you're just 20. I bet you would be the same no matter where you grew up. You're unique. Oh, thank you very much. Maybe, but the UK education system, in my opinion, especially like when you're pretty young, is really good. Obviously, I haven't seen others, but yeah, I mean, there's a chance. I've thought about this too. Would I be the same if I was born somewhere else? But the US makes it really difficult because the problem with the United States that I've found is that this element of being closed-minded and not taking in outside ideas is prideful. Like, you take pride in it. That is dangerous, and that it's not a uniquely United States kind of trait, but it definitely I feel happens more in the United States than it does in other countries. You're correct about the USA. I reckon the British sent all the nut jobs to Australia and US in the 1700s. Oh man, that's funny. Do you know what? After you said that, yeah, looking at Australia just killing themselves as well, it makes it. But the UK's killing themselves too. We're not unique in that way, so I don't know about that, man. I'm talking about the US killing itself. The UK is doing a bloody good job at that too. Any thoughts on XRP versus XLM? I don't look at XLM, unfortunately. I couldn't tell you. What do I think about El Salvador? I was thinking about this today. You know, there was an interesting. I don't know how much I should talk about this, but El Salvador's president was hitting back at some of the diplomats in the United States, leaking some pretty crazy things, which I found interesting. I like him. He's got balls. We need more presidents in this world with a real pair of balls. And at the end of the day, they're serving the people, not themselves. You know, and I think that's really cool. You know, I'm sure they're going to attract a lot of wealth. The issue with Bitcoin and legalizing it and El Salvador is that Bitcoin traders and people, you know, people in the blockchain space and so on, they tend to jump from hub to hub to hub. You know, there's been Hong Kong, there's Dubai right now, there's been Malta, there's been Miami. There's El Salvador. There's been, I'm sure, a few other places across Europe. And while each of these places gain some traction each time they blow up, you know, like Dubai is just blowing up right now, they don't tend to keep it. And I don't know why that is. I think it's because Bitcoiners are idiots and crazy. I think that might be one part of it. I think it's because most of those projects fail. I don't know. Maybe it's really difficult to regulate. Maybe that's why they just end up getting suffocated out into death. I think that's probably a big part of it. But for that reason, I'm not as optimistic about El Salvador as other people are. You know, I just don't see it being that much of a big deal because, put it this way, in order to have really large amounts of money flowing in and out of a country, it's going to be very difficult to do that without also having the blessing of the United States. And obviously, they're not getting along with the US very well. Now, maybe that doesn't matter if you're just using Bitcoin, which is kind of the point for El Salvador. They don't need to worry. But at the end of the day, I mean, how much of that are you realistically going to avoid? You know, what happens when they want to buy some weapons to defend themselves? What are they going to buy those weapons with? They're going to buy them with US dollars or with Bitcoin? Who's going to take that Bitcoin? You know what I mean? So these are the questions I start asking. I don't have the answers, but I'm not as excited for El Salvador as everyone else is. I just feel like it's not that much of a big deal. Do I stake? And do I like Terra Luna? I haven't heard of Terra Luna, and yes, I do stake on Swissborg. Have I taken any secondary education? And if so, what did I study? Well, I dropped out of high school, so no. I was studying like towards the end of high school. Actually, I enjoyed the studying kind of. I enjoyed learning. I just didn't enjoy studying actually. It was pretty bad for me. I actually hated school for a long time, so I was very happy when I finally dropped out. But yeah, I mean, I read books all the time. I study a lot of history in my own time, and I feel like history is a really good subject to study. Obviously, I read a lot of books about psychology and stuff, which I think is one of the reasons that I trade the way I do now. You know, when I was younger, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, I read a lot, not enough, but a lot. How does the Bitcoin fractal pattern look to you, and do I think it's legit? I don't know which fractal you're talking about, so I couldn't tell you. Your thoughts on XRP? Let's go ahead and take a look at XRP, our beloved shitcoin. Well, there's nothing I can analyze on this chart, to be quite honest with you. It looks like it's at support right now. Look at this. It's got a few bounces right here. I don't know what's happening here. Probably not much. And a little bit of a rejection right here. I'm sorry, a few rejections. Yeah. If you trace this dotted line, there's some pretty clear resistance that XRP was finding before. And it's now just kind of consolidating at this level. So this is a level where if we drop below it, probably going to dump by a lot. Or yeah, this could be a floor, and it does make sense as a floor to me. That's about all I can say about XRP. I'm sorry, it's just not a very easy coin to analyze right now. It's just not, it's not really forming any real clear trends in my opinion at the moment. If I was in the UAE, I'd be watching F1 tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people are. I'm just not super interested in it, to be honest. I'd rather, you know, prioritize keeping a routine and so on. I find that to be a little bit more valuable. 1% forward every single day, man. That's what it's all about. 1% forward every single day. Forfly, super impressed with your work. You and Alessio Rastani, another YouTuber. I know Alessio Rastani, very, very cool guy. Are the only ones with notifications on for me. Wow, thank you. Thank you. And you're asking really good questions, man, so I appreciate that coming from you as well. Well done. You deserve every car you've bought. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. What are my thoughts on CRO? I'm sure they'll keep on going up. They're doing an amazing job on marketing, but I'm not sure how sustainable their model is. That is something which worries me a little bit, but it's not really something to worry about right now, obviously. I'm in LA right now and it's super open-minded. Yeah, don't get me wrong. When I say open-minded, I don't mean like, obviously the most open-minded people maybe on the planet, right? Like in the West Coast and in California, right? I mean, they're super open-minded. But in other ways, they're very close-minded. They just don't consider other ideas. So here's an easy one: is a lot of people in the left or in LA are extremely left-leaning politically, but they cannot possibly entertain ideas that are a little bit more towards the center or right. That's what I mean by being close-minded. It's not just, you know, LGBTQ and all the other letters of the alphabet and the plus symbol. It's not just that to be open-minded. That's one element of it. But another very, and I would argue more important element to being open-minded is being able to listen to people you disagree with and accept it. And you can't be telling me that the US can do that in general. You know, I mean, it's got some of the most fierce rivalries in the world right now. Because people just cannot accept outside ideas. That's my point when I say open-minded. Obviously, yeah, super open-minded in another way. I mean, they're like legalizing every drug. So, you know, I mean, trying to decriminalize it even, you know. So, very open-minded in those senses, yeah. Crypto says we're at 0.27. Yeah, that's important. So, with this trading idea, Crypto is saying that we're right here, which does make sense. He's basically saying that this whole thing was a head and shoulders already. Now, that is something I subscribe to a little bit more than what this person is saying. This person is, Crypto is basically saying that we've already finished the head and shoulders right here. And we're, you know, he's not actually saying this. He's just putting forward an idea. It doesn't mean he believes it. And that could indicate Bitcoin enters a bear market. I looked at that as well, and again, I'm not super convinced by that because we didn't form a pronounced right shoulder. You could say that kind of up here is the left shoulder, and then this is the head, and then, you know, kind of this it's tricky. Let me draw this. Hang on. Let me show you what I mean, just so that there's no room for ambiguity. I don't want to be confusing about this. This is the difficult part about being a YouTuber is I have to consider how many people are watching me that English isn't their first language and they're new to charts and so on, so they don't even know what a head and shoulders pattern is. So I got to make sure this is accessible for as many people as possible. But what you could say is that this leg up right here is possibly the right shoulder, and then we drop back down. But it's a very narrow right shoulder. You know what I mean? Like this one's a lot broader, so I don't really like that. Yeah. Yeah, that does make a little bit more sense to me, but even then, I looked at this, and I mean, I haven't studied this Three Peaks and Doomed House pattern, but just the name alone makes me think that it's a little bit stupid. It just looks like a bit of a joke to me. Oh, Domed House, is it? Am I reading this wrong? Oh, I'm sorry. Doomed House. Okay, well that changes it a bit. Yeah, when I read this earlier today, I thought it said Doomed House. I was like, what the fuck are you guys talking about, Doomed House? It just sounds ridiculous, but it's domed. Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, I have English problems sometimes, as you can tell. It's a weird one. Like I used to be really bad with the English language. Had a big turnaround over there. Yeah, I guess that instantly makes me a little bit less skeptical. But the other thing to keep in mind is that you're basically grouping together two big technical analysis patterns to make one idea. And that is a stretch. This is the thing, is the more components you have in a chart pattern, the less likely it is to play out, because you need to hit each of them. You need to have, in this case, the left shoulder going up, right shoulder of equal length, then the head, and then a head of equal length coming down, and then the right shoulder of an equal length, and it dropping back down. There's so many things that need to happen in order to fulfill an idea like that, and each time you add another step onto the process, you make it less likely that the overall thing is going to happen, which is why I don't like ideas like this. You are assuming that too many things need to happen in the right way, and I'm just not on board with that. I'm a bit of a kid, although I'm quite good at TA. Yeah, for sure. I don't try and hide it. It's pretty obvious. Am I in a hotel? I'm in the Burj Khalifa. LA is filled with homelessness now. I mean, yeah, downtown is just like London or any other major city in the world. I don't know where this argument comes from. In the event of a market crash, there's tons of signals right now. How low can Bitcoin go? I would be looking at $20,000 for a huge market crash. If that happened, best believe I'm selling everything and buying Bitcoin. That'll be the easiest trade of my lifetime. But yeah, I don't actually think we're getting a market crash down there anytime soon. Hopefully it happens at some point in my life. That would be pretty cool. But I definitely don't think that's happening anytime soon at all. If it did, it would be so fun. Come to Greece. What about Greece? If you come here, my house is open for you. Yeah, Greece is pretty cool, but I find the people there to be pretty annoying. And to be honest, like, I've done too many crazy things in Greece to, like, I think of Greece and I feel like throwing up. Unfortunately, I think that's what it comes down to for a lot of British people that go to Greece, especially like Mykonos and stuff like that. I just, like, I feel the urge to throw up when I think of it. What do I recommend for the graph, regular or logarithmic? I usually stick to the regular graph, but if I want to, really visualize things in a long-term perspective or put a lot of things into perspective, I'll just flick onto the logarithmic graph and it's one click. So, I mean, I use normal, but I switch to logarithmic when I feel like it's needed. If you come to Norway, I'll buy you a drink. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, I try not to drink because of the issues I have in Greece. I very rarely drink. Very rarely. Thank you, Sammy. Very interesting and truthful as always. Good night from Spain. Good night, Patrick. Have a good night. Yes, it's nearly 2 a.m. over here, so I should get going as well. What's my opinion on Polkabridge? Never heard of it. What do I think of Ethereum in the short term? Has a better analysis look than Bitcoin at the moment? Yes, Ethereum looks a lot stronger than Bitcoin at the moment, even though it's lost a lot of value against Bitcoin. I do think that it could be a pretty cool setup for the next little bit. I think especially if the market turns very bullish soon, which I think is possible. What's your thoughts on play to earn games? Like, in order to make money, it's probably a terrible way to make money. Like, you may as well get a job. Stop being a lazy bastard. Get a fucking job. Stop playing games to make money. What is this ridiculous shit? Especially if it's crypto, like, yeah, just, how about you just put your virginity in a fucking bottle to and frame it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is a ridiculous idea. I'm trying to convince my parents to buy Bitcoin. I've tried to explain blockchain, but they can't get their heads around it. Would you consider making a video to help old schoolers? Man, I mean, like, a lot of people just aren't gonna get it. A lot of people just aren't gonna get it, man. And it's because it's pretty complicated, man. Like, to understand Bitcoin truly, it's pretty complicated. Would I make a video? I don't really want to, man. I'm not really in that camp, you know? Like, I'm in Bitcoin because I think it's gonna go up in value, not because I love it. I love Bitcoin, sure. I think it's amazing. I'm with it philosophically 100%. But very important note, I wouldn't be here if I didn't have the potential to make money from it. And most of you people are just not honest with yourselves about that either. You just wouldn't be here if there was no potential to make money off it. So, you know, if anything, I would urge them to watch my videos like this so they can see my perspective on Bitcoin's longer term chart just to make money. For other stuff like explaining blockchain, dude, like, it's so complicated, man. It really is. 1% every day, I'm sorry. 1% every day, love that. Just keep chipping away. That is a bit of a tongue twister, but yeah, 1% improvements every day is the key to huge success, I think. Forflies, when to short after the Bitcoin blow off top? This is an interesting question. This is a person is asking, when do I enter a short position after the blow off top happens? The issue with the blow off top is that by the time it happens, you're probably not going to believe that it's a blow off top, because the nature of these patterns, and this is the key thing I say all the time, which people miss, is that the market is going to form potential blow off top patterns so many times. And obviously it doesn't look so extreme, but if I put this on the logarithmic chart, you can start to appreciate the scale a little bit more. This drop right here looks only as extreme as this drop right here, from 20,000 all the way down to 10, which is a very important thing to keep in mind. These are both roughly 50% drops. This goes from 5,000 down to 2.9, nearly 50%. This one goes from 3,000 down to 1.8, nearly 50%, just more or less, right? So kind of similar moves in terms of percentage drop, but they get a lot more extreme on linear and logarithmic charts. Just keep that in mind. On linear charts, they get a lot more extreme. That's why I'm visualizing this on the logarithmic scale now, just to make my life a little bit easier. But the key thing to keep in mind right here is, what was your question? I'm sorry. When to short after a blow off top, is that you're not gonna know it's a blow off top until it's too late. You're just not. I mean, like I said, the key thing is it's going to form these blow off tops, and then it's just going to eventually get bought back up so many times to where everyone who was a naysayer, who didn't believe in Bitcoin, would be kind of pushed into the Bitcoin side, because it would negate these sell-offs enough times with enough strength to make you think that, well, it's probably just not going to crash now. And that's where the blow off top really happens. So it's just really hard to time. I just don't think it's worth it. My approach has always been to make as much money as I can while the sun is shining, and then accept that I will probably lose a significant portion of it at the very end. And as long as I'm significantly further ahead than when I started at the beginning, I'm happy, right? So if I started with $100 and I managed to rise it to play it up to $1,000, and then I suffered a big loss in the big crash and I fell down to 600, that's still a major success. Even if I fell down to 400, that is still a major success. So that is my objective. What do I think about IOTA? No thoughts, sorry. Yeah, I'm really not an altcoin guy, guys. I mean, I'm sure these are cool coins, but I'm just not interested, to be honest. Let's see what else we have here. What do I think about the SEC hearing and how pissed off they were about Tether printing billions of unbanked USDT to artificially pump Bitcoin and keep it alive? Bitcoin equals 80% USDT. I don't really know, because the issue with the SEC hearings is that, you know, there's always some news about the USDT scandals, for lack of a better word, and nothing ever happens. So I know that a lot of people have been obsessing over this USDT news since like 2017 at least, because 2017 is when I entered the space, in early 2017. So it's been about 4.5 years, a little bit more, since I joined crypto. You know, and people have been talking about USDT being a huge issue since back then. And there has been one camp of people, me, that didn't give a fuck and just traded anyway and made money. And then there's been another camp of people that were extremely paranoid and either didn't trade or didn't trade with enough conviction and just didn't generally make much money. And I don't like being on that camp. They may be right in the beginning, but my point is, while those people might save themselves from the last 80% crash, they're not going to make the same 10,000% gain that I'm going to be making anyway. So when we both, you know, when I suffer the 80% crash and this person saves himself from it, right, I'm still going to be ahead. Psychologically, maybe not, I'll be quite upset, but financially, I'm still going to be ahead of the guy that is concerned about news like USDT. And that's why I generally just don't pay attention to it. Because I really don't know, man. I really don't know. Guys, by the way, I see a lot of you guys reaching out for VIP right now. If you want to jump inside, it's the first link in the description down below. It's not just me, by the way, it's my whole team. We're posting analysis and you know, trade setups that we're considering as well. We're telling you exactly why we're doing what we're doing. Everything I do is checked by my analyst and vice versa. So you know, there's multiple eyes that have to confirm these things. My analyst was trained by me, but he's older than me and therefore more sensible, a lot more sensible. In fact, no, I can't say, but he's from a country which is very well known for being sensible. That makes it fairly obvious, to be honest, but I think that's a huge selling point. And yeah, it's all right here. First link in the description, at 4flies button at the bottom of any post inside of 4flies gold, and then send message. Follow these 3 quick steps, click these red boxes, and then ask me how to join. My assistants are online right now, so we'll get you all of that information. Let's just move back to questions real quick though. Let's see what else we have here. What do I think about Ethereum? I've already answered that. What's my thoughts on... Oh, I've already answered that one too. Four flights. Since you're a Porsche fanboy, do I try and rent one in every city you travel to? No, I don't. But if I can't get my car there, then yes. For example, in LA, I can't import my UK car, so yeah, I would rent the same one, yeah, because it's just the perfect car in my opinion. Yeah, it's just Porsches are just different. Porsches are just different. 4flies, it's nice you talk about yourself. I think people get more engaged after you introduce yourself. Maybe you have any recent book advices. So, you know, for trading books, the 2 favorite books I have are in the description. Go ahead and check them out. The first one is about learning technical analysis. This is almost like you can consider a substitute to my 4flies Academy course, which you're going to get for free by following these steps on screen to join 4flies VIP. If it's out of price, or you don't like me, or you don't think the content's going to be good, or whatever else, that book is good. And you should definitely check it out. That's one of the things I used to learn how to analyze when I was new to the space. The second book is Market Wizards, which is to date still probably one of my favorite books ever, because it is a series of interviews with highly successful world-class traders, basically giving advice, giving their thoughts and explaining what they do and why they do it, and it is really, really powerful. Really powerful. Those are my trading books. I have a bunch of other books that I love, but those are the ones specifically for trading that I swear by. With all the volatility and uncertainty, when would be the best time to get in a long position? At support levels, Ben. At support levels, or upon a breakout, but generally at support levels. I love your honesty and boldness. Thank you very much, man. Thank you. Is Bitcoin connected to the strength of the dollar? Well, I think it's inversely proportional. You know, where if the dollar is weak, Bitcoin's probably going to be a bit stronger. 4flies, your analyst is German. I'll be honest, I actually I'm pretty sure I know the country, but I'm not entirely. But I know it's one of 2. I know it's one of 2. I'm just not sure which one of the 2. And I can neither confirm nor deny that Germany is one of them. I tried to enroll, but it times out. Ryan, if it times out, then then there is an email address. Where is the email address? There's an email address where? Either in the description. No, it's not in the description. On the if you click on my channel, bam, right here. If you click on my channel and you go to the about page, you'll see an email address right here. Oh, it's also right here. So you can email me here and ask for information. How to make a longer short position? Go ahead and watch my 1000 to 1 million video where I answer this exact question in a lot of detail right here. Type in 1000 to 1 million 4flies and you can watch my Bitcoin trading ultimate in-depth guide for beginners, 4K. I really went hard on this title. Where did I grow up? In London. Have a good night's sleep, brother. You've done more than enough. You got a shout out from me on my community for free. Thank you very much, mate. Cheers from Dubai too. Nice. Have a good night, mate. Yeah, I'll probably be going off relatively soon. It has been an hour and 51 minutes since I hit that live stream button, so I should probably get going as well. Those books look interesting. Might pick one up. Yeah, I mean the ROI on those books are crazy, especially Market Wizards. If you already know about TA, Market Wizards is just ridiculously good in terms of value. I mean, it has really helped me with my trading performance a lot, like a lot. So I found that incredibly useful. I appreciate your all about money approach, not trying to build up the market, to always being bullish and keeping it real. Yeah, 100%, man. I mean, if the market's bullish, I'm buying. If the market's bearish, I'm selling. It's that simple. It's really that simple. I don't get emotionally attached to these things. That's why I have cars. Alright guys, I think that's all of the questions that I've answered. So with that, I will be heading off. If you have anything final, please go ahead and drop them right now. Otherwise, I will be signing off just in the next few minutes. Thanks for keeping it real and no BS, best TA around. Thank you very much, Ben. Glad you like it. This is the thing, it's like the live streams, I have a lot more time. I can go a lot more in depth. I'm also answering your questions. It's a lot more engaging. I really like them. I just wish that they made sense. Because this isn't going to get viewed by as many people who want to watch my videos because it's a live stream and they're just ranked differently in the algorithm. Infinite love, thank you so much. When everyone was saying Bitcoin will pump, you were the only one who said it's not going the way they were also saying. Great job. You only do Bitcoin, nothing else. No, that last part is not true. I also look at other stuff occasionally. But yeah, I'm always trying to distance myself from the hype and analyze it. But the key thing is I want to analyze the psychology of the market. I want to analyze comment sections. I want to analyze sentiment. I want to analyze my sentiment. Because guys, I feel the same fear that you're feeling down here. Actually, maybe not. I don't feel that much fear, but I definitely do know when I'm feeling a little bit more fear than normal. And the hype, yeah, I definitely feel the hype like normal. So, you know, I step back and I try and analyze that. And that is usually kind of what gives me the advantage, I feel. So, try and do that. Try and be more aware of how you feel and how other people feel. You know, if everyone is suddenly saying the price is going to go up massively, and here's the reasons why, well then, is it really going to do that? Are the 90% of people usually correct? Something to think about. How come I don't like altcoins as much in terms of dollarisms and cents? Altcoins have made a lot more than Bitcoin Solana return for the year. So the issue is that, like, in order to pick a good altcoin, you have to sift through a lot of shit, which means your overall probability of doing well with altcoins is not as good as Bitcoin, and that argument from my side strengthens even more when I consider that I apply leverage to Bitcoin. So if I'm applying leverage to Bitcoin, I'll make, you know, a similar reward to what a lot of the shitcoin traders will make, but a lot less risk, and I like that. That's a good risk to reward ratio. Just basic math, basic money management, really. With regards to poor live stream numbers, have I ever got any feedback from my colleagues who do well with live streams? Good question. No, not really. I mean, like, a lot of the time, it's just something that snaps with the algorithm. Like, the last live stream I did really well. It was, like, one of our best live streams ever. So, it just snaps. I don't really understand it. Do I think there was a lot of hopium? Probably more clickbait would help, but I mean, fuck me, how do I do more clickbait than this? You know what I mean? Like, so I don't really know. Do I think there's a lot of hopium regardless of the dump in the greed and fear index? Yeah, obviously there's gonna be a lot of hopium. That's always been there, I think. Does Dubai have different colored lights in the evening? No. No, it's the same. It's always the same. I ordered a 296 GTB. Good shit, man. Congratulations. Enjoy it when it comes. How long do you have to wait on that? 296 GTB. That is the newest. Actually, it's not the newest Ferrari anymore because now there's a new 812, which was just released like 3 days ago. Just announced 3 days ago. You're a year younger than me, but your wisdom makes it feel like you're way older than me. Much appreciated. Thank you very much, man. Thank you very much. How do I get all those lines on the chart with resistance and support trading view without manually putting them in? You have to manually put them in. I'm sorry. There's no other way. It's easy, man. I mean, just there is a. Hang on. Give you a quick trading view tutorial right now. Hang on. So on the left hand side, there is this pencil lock icon. This basically means if I draw like a horizontal line, it will immediately default back to my crosshair. So I can't draw another line if I just click normally. But if I press this and then drop a horizontal line, I can keep clicking all over the chart and it doesn't go back to the crosshair. So I can draw infinite lines, which means if you just pull up a screenshot of my chart and you want my lines, for example, all you have to do is read these numbers. You're only clicking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times. It's really not that much effort, in my opinion, to populate the chart. And actually, it's a good exercise to see if you can do it on your own, really. I mean, you know, you should be able to spot support resistance levels on your own just by waving the cursor around. If you can't, then you probably need a little bit more training with this. This is the kind of stuff that you're going to know intuitively after you go through my content here in the Fourth Eyes Academy course and VIP and all that. But, you know, just kind of floating around and being able to, you know, fairly quickly identify where the key reversal points in the market have been. You know, you can populate the chart pretty quickly. Let's see what else we have here. Why is it common for Bitcoin to take such drastic drops after massive run-ups? Because the massive run-ups are already overextended. There's a lot of leverage traders and they get liquidated and the price drops. If you don't know what that means, then watch my previous YouTube video. Have I ever heard of H-bar? Yes, but never looked at it. How much leverage should a newbie use? There is no real answer to that, man. Lower the better. You know, closer to 1x the better. 2x, 3x, 5x max. How do I stay motivated when you've lost 3k in savings on a bad trade? I shorted Shiba, made 2k in profit, then lost it all on a bad move. I was in it short and the market rebounded. Here's the thing, man. If you've lost enough money to where you feel bad about it, you fucked up like 5 things before you even started the trade. You have a big amount of thinking to do to make sure that that kind of thing doesn't repeat. That's a big problem, dude. That's a big problem. And how do you stay motivated? I mean, man, do you need motivation? I mean, do your parents still work? You know, I mean, is your father, if he's still around, God bless, is he sitting on the beach drinking cocktails with, you know, 5 beautiful Russian ladies around him? No. If not, then there's your motivation. You know, like, it's pretty obvious. I don't like the motivation question, because you should already be motivated enough, and if you're not, then just leave. I mean, you know, if you're not motivated yet, then nothing's going to do it for you. I know that's not really your real question. And the key thing I'd say, man, is yeah, like if you ever suffer a trade that makes you, suffer a loss that makes you feel bad, you know, and that makes you feel like you kind of fell off the track and you feel a little bit demotivated from it, then really, you know, there's a lot of things going wrong before you entered the trade. And I think, yeah, one of the biggest ones is probably position sizing, and you know, it probably, you don't even think through your positions very well, and so on as well. So there's a lot of problems that's happening there. How long have I been involved in Bitcoin? 4.5 years, a little bit more. Consider getting liquidated as a lesson learned to know how to apply serious risk management there. 100%, yeah. Fireflies, you seem to be an honest contrarian. I wonder if you were rebellious in your much younger years. Well, I dropped out of high school, so I was rebellious in that way, but I was actually a pretty good... I was actually a pretty good boy for quite a long time. I was very obedient. until I kind of started to unplug from the matrix, and I was watching a lot of YouTube videos, and I got positively brainwashed in the right ways. I mean, I didn't really have a social life when I was younger, so I was just spending all my time online watching YouTubers and listening to podcasts and being exposed to all sorts of crazy ideas from the ripe age of like 13, and it just completely changed the way I was thinking. And then I was able to kind of buy my freedom in the form of making money. And as soon as I was able to do that, I was out. And that's when I was able to really exercise my rebellious nature, I suppose. Do I leverage trade Ethereum? Yes, I do. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go. That's exactly 2 hours now. Thank you all for tuning in. If you have enjoyed this one, you know what to do. Hit up the likes one more time. Subscribe. Tick the bell. Do all that good stuff. And I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers. Bye-bye.